Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Charlie.
an incarcerated individual at the Leon County Jail. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored. If you believe this should be a private call, please hang up and follow facility instructions to register this number as a private number. To accept charges and consent to this recorded call, press 1. To refuse, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hey.
I don't know what happened there. I just kept saying so many words there.
Yeah, the power, the bars went down and the reception just went down. So I had to wait for it to get service again.
Yeah.
No, I know. Listen, I know I'm belaboring it because I got nothing else in my head, and everything is bad. So it's the one thing I can kind of focus on and rehash.
That's right. That's right. It's fine. I mean,
it's like it gives me something to focus on or talk about. Otherwise, everything else just is really hard for me right now.
I know that.
It's like everything is a trigger. I don't even know what to say. I've never been like this, but it's like usually I always focus on something. This is like I focus on the appeal, and then I think about it, and I'm like, check out your last name, and check out where you are, and you didn't have one fucking juror with all the guns that you brought out ablazing, with all the work that was put into it, with everything that you fucking brought to the table. You couldn't get one. You couldn't even get them to deliberate. You couldn't even get them to. Dan was telling them what wires to listen to, what time. They didn't have to listen to the whole wire. Go to 3 minutes and 36 seconds. No, they weren't even listening. They weren't even taking notes. Like, their minds were made up. Dan was telling them to go to this wire and to play the wire and hear it for themselves at 3 minutes and 34 seconds. You know what Georgia did? She had a photocopy of the transcript with the words highlighted, so you could read it on the screen for yourself right there. You didn't have to go back to the jury room. Read it right now. I'll read it to you. Like, I almost feel like, you there?
No.
Yeah, I almost feel like Dan should have had, if Dan made it for a 5th grade level, he should have made it for a 3rd grade level. He should have had the photocopies with the highlighted words saying, it's not done like this. I know for a fact. But like everything they explained away.
Yeah, but they actually heard that over and over. It's just, I don't know what didn't penetrate. I don't know.
I think the case got dumbed down to she's showing up at the scene of the crime. He's telling me she didn't know. If she knew, then they're involved. If she wasn't showing up, okay, I can believe it maybe, but her showing up is the icing on the cake. And that's why they opened with it, and that's why they closed with it, and they even gave their simple explanation, which is she couldn't help herself. And look, 99 out of 100 times, if, in a case like that, I guess it would make the most sense, except that's not what happened. But I think if a jury could grasp a hold of, between that and the TV, they had two things that were coincidences that you really don't have explanations for. And it was the day, and it came up the day of the murder and the day of the bump. Why is everybody talking TV talk? And the TV joke ties it all in. 1, 2, 3. And then she's showing up at the scene of the crime. I had somebody ask me that, like, a couple of years ago. It's like, did that really happen? Like, I go, trust me. Like, nobody knew. Like, she showed up. They're like, man, that's like 1 in a million.
Yeah.
And I go, yep. So you mean to tell me 1 in a million you're right, the other 1 in a million you're innocent? You know, even if you say it's 1 in 10,000, now you're starting off the debate saying, listen, 1 in 10,000 times I'm right. All right, you want to bet I'm right on this one? You can't win it. You can't. Once somebody in their head says, if that's really her explanation, what are the fucking chances? That's near impossible for me to conceptualize. I guarantee you, if they poll jurors, that's going to be the thing that's stuck in their head, that they knew right then and there it was either a coincidence or it was a lie. And the coincidence has to be 1 in 10,000. And maybe they're sitting there saying it's one. I'm saying 1 in 10,000. Maybe these dudes are saying it's 1 in a million. She had to be a part of it. She's showing up at the. You know, they always say like an expression. It's like you showed up at the scene of the crime. Right. Like they always use it in like detective movies and like. Right. It's a lie. Like you're at the scene of showed up at the scene of the crime, but she didn't know anything. Like
people start a fire and then they show up to watch it. I mean, it's been on TV forever.
It's always I mean, it would be like. I mean, you know what it would be like? Do you remember? That mafia guy in New York, Paul Castellano?
What's the last name?
Castellano. He was shot getting into or out of Spark Steakhouse in like downtown Manhattan.
Oh yes, okay, I didn't remember the name.
It was like that's when John Gotti became like you know, the head of the Gambino crime family. Is when Paul Castellano got shot, and they did it like it was in like downtown Manhattan at Spark Steakhouse. I just seen it on the news enough. That's all I know.
Wow.
But that's it was like real violent, and it was like he was either getting out of his car or walking into his car out of the steakhouse, right?
Yeah.
And that would be like saying somebody who absolutely hated Paul Castellano, like who had beef with him of some sort, like who lived, you know, 15 miles away, like pulling up at the scene 30 minutes later. You know, or even like being there while this actually happened.
Right.
You know, like sitting in the restaurant while this happened. Like it's one of those things where you go like, okay, like this guy's getting that this is happening. Manhattan's a big city. Okay, why the hell was this guy here? You could say, well, he was eating dinner the same night at the same restaurant. Okay, maybe. But, like, he was going someplace, he was going to a liquor store, passed 4 liquor stores, took alternate routes, and ended up right there at that time. Like, that's a good story. Like, that sets the tone for everything else. Like, that puts a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
You know, you should have seen the crime from your house to his house. Like, what did they say? Was it a 17-minute drive?
I think so. I think that's what they said. Yeah.
I mean, and then they put up slides that show liquor stores were like 5 minutes from her house. She drove 17 minutes. Like, I mean, I get it. I still would go to CVS right by Nova.
Yeah, there's closer ones. So you go.
Oh, and I pushed that same pharmacy across the street from Nova. So I don't know why. Maybe you can do that with liquor stores or pharmacies, but like, I still went to the CVS liquor store, the CVS pharmacy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, like, what I'm just saying is, like, if I ever were to get an appeal, and listen, Dan told me this. I'm sure he told you the same thing. He said, the appellate lawyers are expensive. Spend some money on the appellate lawyer, but don't look to spend a fortune because it's hope. You got to give yourself some hope. It's going to take a year and a half, 2 years, and maybe something will happen. Maybe someone will write something about the case. Or something will come forward. Then you got to get a new trial. And I always, what sickens me is that it's not me getting a new trial like most people who are on appeal, they get new trials or whatever. Nobody really knows about the case, or it's an old case, or you pick a jury, you show up for jury duty, you don't know what the hell case you're going to get on. This would be a service times 2. This would be what, the fourth trial based on this shit? Like, it would be a circus, again, big circus. I mean, you would have to get moved out of Tallahassee, but the circus will travel. And for as well as our case was put together, you couldn't get one fucking person. You couldn't even get the jury to pay at any time. They had already decided. I mean, it's just.
They did.
If I
did. They did.
Yeah, no, it was. And, when I was being brought to court on Friday, the black guy who was going to court with me at the same time and everything, he'd been here 3 years. He got a public defender. He had a first-degree murder charge. Been here 3 years. The guy's last name was Brown.
Yeah.
And I was in my cell. He was in his cell, and I was eating lunch. It was on Friday. And we were talking from the cell to each other for a few minutes, and he was real nervous because the jury was deliberating. The jury started deliberating at 11 o'clock in the morning. I came down for lunch, brought him down there. Again, it was about 1 o'clock on Friday. I was like on top of the world. I was like talking, like happy that I was testifying, and Dan was like telling me how great I did. Kate was telling me how great I did. Jury consultants that were watching it said I did very well. He said it was the best he's seen me. Like, it started being straightforward and like precise, like composure. Like he said, he knocked it out of the park. That was his word to me. Was he knocked it out of the park?
Everybody said it.
I went down and I talked to this guy and started all down. He started talking about his case. He's got his girlfriend, his baby mom, and she's got an ex-boyfriend. She also has a kid by him. They had words. He told him, like, if you got a problem with her, you can take it up with me. Don't talk to her anymore. You want to talk to her, you talk to me. And then the guy showed up at the house. And he said when the guy showed up at the house, he reached for a gun in his jacket. And as soon as he reached for a gun, he pulled out his gun and he shot him like 8 or 9 times. And he's like, the last shot was in his head. So he shot him like 8 or 9 times. He's like, man, it was self-defense. And I'm like, what? Stand your ground. You're fine in self-defense. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, did the guy have a weapon? He's like, yeah, that's the thing. When the police, when I shot him and all, I went back in the house. And when the police came, he didn't have a weapon on him. So he's like, so they're charging him with first-degree murder. So when I was there on Monday, I was talking to one of the officers for a few minutes when I was down in the cells waiting. They're talking me through the bars. And they were telling me, man, like, like 8 or 9 hours, so like 7 or 8 o'clock at night from 11 in the morning. And it was charged for first-degree murder, and they acquitted him. And I'm like, all 12 jurors? He's like, yeah. I was like, all 12. He goes, begin Adelson time. He walked out of the courthouse. He was in jail for 3 years in Leon County. And had a first-degree murder charge. I was brought into the police man. I stood with him in the morning. He was the other guy dressing down. He got in brown. And he had a public defender. Sat in for 3 years. The guy was unarmed. You know what they said? They said he shot him. And then after he shot him, he went in the house and called 911 to call the police to tell them what had just happened. And that somebody from the hood must have come over and taken his gun off of him. But he had a gun when he shot him. And he said he had a gun, and I saw it as he was pulling it out. He goes, but when I shot him a bunch of times, ran in the house, called the police, and someone from the hood must have come over and taken the gun. And they said, when the police showed up, they said there wasn't anybody standing around, there wasn't people around, nobody didn't know that. Then that's what the cop downstairs and telling me. He said, there wasn't a crowd. There's nobody around. So it wasn't like, there must have been one dude that saw him fall, ran, stole his gun from him, and then kept running, and nobody saw that guy do that. So they have no witness of anyone taking a gun. He just swears that the guy was armed, that someone from the hood, after he fell to the ground and died, went over to the murder victim and stole his handgun from him. And the jury acquitted him. Friday. 12 people. And when I was talking to him, and he was so worried that, I only got 2 black people on the whole jury. He's like, I got 2 black women, that's it. Because everybody always says they want black women on the jury. So he's like, I only got 2 black women on my jury, man. Like, how many you got? 4 of them. And he was like, oh, man. He was like so jealous of them. And a black sergeant, the guy was a black guy and served as a sergeant in the U.S. Army, retired after 20 years, and then worked for the post office. I wouldn't be surprised if he was sergeant was like the leader. And sitting there and saying, you don't show up at the scene of the crime unless you're in that. It's one thing to call it a restaurant, it's another thing to be like a route on the way to a liquor store that's totally out of your way. I mean, look at how big Tallahassee is. Look how many different directions. Look how many different streets she should have taken to fucking get there. She was turning down trespass. Like, was she going to pick up a bicycle? Was she going to pick something up? No, she was turning down trespass at 12:30. Unexplainable.
It is.
And listen, I'm not a jury consultant, I'm not a lawyer, but why was I so right about what it was going to look like up here, and they were so mistaken? Right? You have a world-renowned guy who's the best at what he does in picking juries. Like, meet that. He is the top.
That's right.
And you couldn't manage to get one vote. That's because you break it down and say, what are the chances of her turning down trespass at 12:30, leaving her house, talk to her mom, talk to her bro? She couldn't help herself. The only logical explanation, and the shit was like, even if she wanted to go to that liquor store, there was a more direct route. The only way that she went, that was the way she always knew, and she's bad with direction. But it's like, she's this brilliant person, but so bad with direction. It's kind of like hard to understand to some people. You got this brilliant mind, but you can't find your way out of a paper bag. Like it doesn't flow. You know what I'm saying? The people that are that small have such a direction. you've only been in town for 8 years and you got electronic devices. So you're taking even the long route to go to that liquor store, passing 4 liquor stores that are closer. These are simple people. And even if you're not a real simple person, you look at that and you go, what the fuck are the chances?
Yeah.
And that's before you start piling on all the other things now you need to explain. And that's before you get to your PA. That's just what the fuck are you doing driving down Trescott at 12:30 by the 8th? Like, it's just, that's why I feel like, listen, I don't want you guys to give up, but I just...
We're not. We're not.
No, this is never going to focus. That's what you go down a rabbit hole. But I just, that's very, very, listen, if the trial was going poorly, I would understand.
I know. It was not going poorly.
No, it was going.
Everyone told you, not your parents. Everyone told you. People I know, people I know, everyone.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, did the witness get to say something? Did I screw up something? Did Dan screw up something? Like, no. It's called the pile of shit that they were able to make out of taking things out of context, and TV said, and when did you run up at the crime scene? Is enough to say beyond that. And also dressing up a probable or reasonable doubt to making it be like, you common sense, if you think you're guilty, well, listen, I think that if somebody's showing up at the scene of the crime and they don't have a fucking real good reason why they're there to be backed out, I say that's superficial.
Yeah, I understand.
Like, you showed up at the scene of the crime. Like, how else do you if that was the only thing, that would be one thing. But it's like, that's why the showing up at the scene of the crime and the fucking TV became like 2 things pounded in people's heads. And you combine that with all the other fluff, and you have exactly what I said is going to happen. It's how it happened. My words were, you don't stand a fucking chance. Even though I know the truth.
Yeah.
You don't stand a fucking chance. Like, how could, I just don't get how everybody, like, the trial, here's the other thing, Mom, that the trial went really well. Like, it didn't go bad. There were no surprises. Dan was hitting on all 8 cylinders. I was nervous because I've never testified in court before. Like, you can forget something or stumble or, like, and really, be made you look bad. If anything, I thought it helped my credibility when I got up there and they liked me, like maybe like the personality kind of came through a little bit. Like,
everybody said that, yeah. Very personal.
I really was trying to, like, just be myself.
That's
like,
the word everybody uses. She's likable.
I mean, she tried to say, like, to make me look bad that she was talking about my mom using the curse word and saying this. I go, I said, like, you made me laugh. You said the word fucker in court.
Right.
Like, she said it a few more times trying to get me to laugh, but I wasn't going to laugh. She kind of took me off. Like,
sure.
What I had with her.
It has anything to do with anything.
But she sounded like she had Tourette's. I wanted to say that, but you don't want to say that because you don't know if they go to the jury that saying them with Tourette's and then they think you're insensitive. And I wanted to say, like, you sounded like you had Tourette's. You were standing there screaming out curse words one after the next. like rapid fire, like not in the context of who was being said to or why it was being said. He just naming out curse words, standing in the middle of the room screaming. It made me laugh for a second. You know, it's like that's all I was laughing at. Thought I thought for a second. But she really I was in such a good mood Saturday. I remember calling her and I was like, she started asking me how old was Maria and what did we do for days. I knew she had nothing else to ask.
She was out of questions. She didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I had the answers to the real questions in the case. The other answers I can't give her an answer for is a liquor store and the no-code TV.
No, you can't. No code.
You can't. It's still like someone presented this case to me, and they said they told me her reasons for going, to why she was traveling on that route, on that street, on that time, on that day, instead of the other liquor stores or taking another route. I would say, boy, something doesn't seem right. Like that would really stick with me. Is that she showed up there randomly. That hates every other thing. And I think after that, every other thing has to be like a bulletproof answer, not an excuse, without an explanation. Because listen, there's been people who showed up at the scene of the crime and been convicted before, just for showing up.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Oh, yeah.
She was identified at the scene of the crime, showing up to watch the fire burn after it was it's just.
Pretty much what
It's not a 1 in 90. It's not a 1 in 100. It's not even a 1 in 500 for showing up at that date and that time. It's in the thousands.
Yeah.
And that I can't debate.
No. I know. Nobody could.
Not unless she goes, oh, I go there every week to go to that liquor store, and that's how I go. Like, when was the last time you went to that liquor store, Wendy? Probably when she was married.
Yeah. A long time ago.
I think so. It's been 3-4 years, something like that, right? So one time in 3-4 years on that time, on that date, in the thousands. So if they don't put it this way, it's dumbing down the case entirely. If they don't buy her explanation 100% on that, it really casts out a lot of people.
Well, that's what happens. They don't buy one thing, then they don't believe anything.
It's a big thing, because you got to understand. Now they have her at the scene of the crime. If she could, because she had prior knowledge, you almost have to assume that I was guilty.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And that's why, like, before I came up to Tallahassee and everything else, I was like, my gut tells me Roman's going to be in North Carolina one day. And I'm going to be dealing with shit. That's all in all. I like literally like a freight train looking at it.
Kind of what it seems like.
What's that?
I said that's kind of what it seems like. It's just,
you know? Yeah, I'll never forget when we went for a walk and I was standing in the middle of the street.
yeah.
Remember you were like 6, 7 months? That was exactly what you said to me. It was 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
So, and then I got that, and then when I came up here, like, took a while to get the discovery because they were trial with her, and that was
Right.
That was the day. So that went to June. In June, July, I was kind of just getting started with stuff. And really didn't start until Dan really didn't start until after my bond period, July 29th. No, that wasn't my bond period. That was like my first. I had an appearance on July 29th. And that's it. And I went to court then, and I remember saying to Dan, like, you think we could do it? He's like, well, I think we could probably get the case done November, possibly December. Like November, Thanksgiving time, not any time for trial. So nothing happens in December. And the case doesn't really, doesn't pick up until the 2nd or 3rd week of January. He's like, so we'll have it set for January. So I'm thinking, like, all right, I'll be here till February. I'm going to start. And then when we got to December, we said, let's
Set it for April.
Let's set it back for April. Like, we need a little more time. And I was having a rough time in here in January and part of February. And then Dan's like, you know what? Like, we could be ready in April. He's like, we definitely would be ready in like June, but we can't take a chance. But we've come this far. Like, why tell them like June when we may need more than those 8 weeks? He's like, we'll definitely be ready in July. Definitely ready in July. I'm like, all right, so we tried July, but they had a date in July, and then both prosecutors were taking vacation in August. And then in September, the judge said that he had a prior engagement to it.
Right.
And then when I appeared in August, at the end of August 25th, I think, I had like a whole countdown thing on my wall. I had a calendar, keep track of the days. Like, you can see every month I drew out like Sunday to the left, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I hand wrote the days in on the wall at pencil. And then like every day I put a check mark on it, and if I worked out, I would circle the date. So that was my like working out, what they mentally said. Doing my little yoga class with everybody at night, workout class with everybody at night, like eating my food, reading everything on the trial, reading all the transcripts, all the depots. Like, I really, and it's hard. With ADD, it's hard for me to concentrate anyway.
And it wasn't exactly a study area.
No, I'm sitting on the edge of my bed. I don't have a chair with a back. So it was hard for me to study. To be honest with you, it's hard for me to focus. I didn't realize how bad I had it. It's hard for me to focus and read. I did it. Like, I forced myself. Hours, and I went through everything with Dan, and it was like, we're ready.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes down to it, like, my initial gut feeling was that it was right. Like, looking back on it, like, you know, Dan thinking, he left it all out there, like, he did the best he could. Like, yeah, like, for fucking, you know, having the best lawyer who's working his tail off, who had that team, like, it wasn't just him plugging away in his solo office. He had a team doing each guy with him. Like, he could have kept a whole lot more for himself if he just did it himself and didn't bring someone else like Katie. He brought Katie. You know, and then all the people he had in his office, like, he had people that had so much experience and knowledge and constantly, I mean, we did a mock jury. We had 25 people on the phone for the mock jury. You know, like, and, you know, the feedback was tremendous. You know, so that got me, like, really, really pumped. You know, and then having Josh Dubin up there, like, I can't thank you guys enough for doing that. You know, like, having Dubin come up here and his team, and he was sending that guy Renato down. Renato met with us a few times, and Renato was constantly on the phone with Dan. And, you know, the same fucking evidence from 2016 that they, you know, that they just literally made a Dateline special with it. It was no different than a Dateline special, but with autopsy photos. And leaving them up on the screen. Not just clicking them up, but, like, look at it while I talk to you.
Yeah.
It was stripped down. There's a little blood in it. It was horrible. It was a horrible event. And that's what people are looking at, and they're getting furious. And you got some Miami bitch who put down Tallahassee. She thinks she's better than everybody. She even wrote it in her book. It was showing up at the crime scene. Like, those are two facts that you can't dispute. She wanted to leave, and she got to leave. She thought it was a little stop on the way to nowhere, on the way to civilization. Isn't that what happened? And didn't show up on the 18th. And your mom and your brother both spoke to you that way. Like, that's what the case was about. And then while your TV was getting fixed, and your mom and your brother's making a TV joke, and your mom's using TV codes on someone who coaches her, why doesn't she just say how much money it was? She's old and she's rattled. She's scared.
No. I was sitting in front of the TV. That's exactly what.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying, but why you were being like, saying, because it's bad that they asked for $5,000. I asked you, like, I received it back to you. It was 15 years ago, playing Family Feud. You said, name an item that costs a couple grand. It was their TV. It wouldn't be a blender.
Yeah.
You know, it would have,
but as you said, one thing alone, it's not one thing alone. It's just, it was, and it wasn't even her presentation, really. It was her making it, just basically dumbing it down. Let's dumb it down. Let's stop living, you know.
Yeah, false. It was false. Use your common sense. She couldn't help herself. She showed up there. Even his best friend said that he said this. Like, she's getting eyewitness, or she's getting, you know, people to come in and say I said things. Like, all fitting together. She made it all fit together, folks. And she showed up at the class.
Yeah.
She couldn't, and listen, if you told that to 100 people, with the explanation that I've delayed you 10 times since you've been on the phone, they would say, what is the fucking chance? 100% happened. Yeah, but what are the chances that it was random? And that's when you go, if it wasn't random, then she's involved and they're involved. But then you got all these other people making comments and saying shit I never said. It's kind of tough, which all fits the story. It was a Dateline. It was like sitting in the courtroom and watching Dateline. Like it deviated from being a child to being Dateline.
Yeah.
Cut and paste. Folks, you know, they like talk with that voice, and they're like, kind of like, and look what happened next. And then look what this person did. And look what this person did. Like, they're all normal events. I guess it's beautiful. I guess it's just, I literally picture myself coming home.
We all did. It's a shock, Curly. Shock to you because you're living it. Shock to others. We can't believe this happened. Cannot believe.
I mean, it's literally 48 hours, and it feels like it's been laying on my chest for 48 days. Not even 48 hours. It's so fresh. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it feels to you guys, but it feels like it was 48 days ago. That's how my body did.
Dad said to me this morning, I feel like it's weeks ago. All that has happened in 2 days. I feel like it's weeks already.
Yeah.
I know.
That's exactly what I said, Sean. Exactly what I said.
It doesn't mean it'll be, I mean, it's not even 48 hours. I literally feel like this has been like
too much, just too much.
It's just, you gotta understand, it's like, I know not to give up hope. Don't give up hope, because you can win an appeal, you can get a new trial, like it could be during the conduct, you know, all those things can happen. It's like you're gonna have to get used to the idea of making a life for yourself. And I just lost it when I was there, and I take one to the side. I can't even like.
You know, you had a life. You were coming home to your life. We were all waiting for you to come home.
It doesn't seem real. It's just like, it doesn't seem like if I did it, or if I was fucking, you know, having the trial go bad and I could see it happening, it's just like,
nobody's story.
I'm giving my stuff away here, thinking like, I was feeling so, I didn't feel like I was in jail. I was just like in the zone.
Yeah.
Mentally, I was like, you know, I got a list of numbers on an old sheet of paper that looks like it's been through a war. There's only a few numbers on there, people I still speak to. Whole list of numbers, just a few people I actually speak to. And I said, I'm going to keep this list with me when I get out, so I remember who my real friends are. That's why I took it and put it in that red folder, some papers, and I brought it with me to the courthouse. I didn't think I was going to be coming back to my jail cell.
Dan thought he was driving you home.
I did. I thought I was going to do so much more bad. I was even thinking like maybe I won't end up living out in Asia. Maybe I'll end up staying here and having a real solid relationship with him. And I was thinking I'd go out there for a while and come back and probably end up staying here. You know, and be like people would know that I'm innocent.
None of this seems real. None of this seems real. It's like I'm talking to you, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Yeah, like everything's great. Everything's great. What else is there? Everything's great. I'm doing good. same straw, as long as they get out of here, I'll be fine.
Just a appreciable term.
I'm fine. I know that one thing I've been told many times, where I am now is like,
You've told me. I know, Tony.
this place is like paradise compared to the I have a good feeling that if there is a protective measure, it's all general people that have that same custody level. They gotta have one of them in Florida, where it's one area that they keep a general population group that they can't mix with other people. The other thing I hope they got is that they have in-person contacts.
I hope so.
I asked one guard I was asking last night, he said, I don't know, DOC changed a lot of stuff after COVID. It also cut down all the contraband that was coming in. But I don't think it's humane to not have people get contact visits.
No, it's not. And I don't know. I've done a little research. I can't find anything yet, so I have to just wait and see where you are and what the story is. Evidently, it's a little different in different places, so I don't know.
You have to around to get contact visits?
I'm sorry. Some places, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not on the computer now. I don't know, but you don't know if that's from 21. You don't know if it's from 23. I mean, it's...
Yeah. It's just, I got to tell you, thank you for saying all the calls. It's been long.
Oh, please.
Good to have you guys.
Sean, I'm really busy here. I love you. This is just a disaster, and we'll get through this. We'll get through. We have no choice. Right now, this is it. The rest we'll deal with it. I know.
No, I talked to Ramsey this morning a little bit. He was nice. He picked up the phone right away from me. I talked to him for a while. He was shocked. He thought I did fantastic on cross-examination. He didn't see the whole thing with me. People who just want to see cross. They always expect their attorneys throwing softball questions anyway. So it's like, let me see what happens when he gets cross-examined. That's really what you want to see, not when your own team asks you questions. They figure you already know what they're asking, even though I didn't. He's fantastic. He's like, look, you just went over it and you're like, how big of a case it is, and how much publicity there is, and how it's a small town, and they made a point to show that your sister thought she was better and shitting on a small town, and she showed up at the scene of the crime. I guess that right there is enough to convict you. They were showing that, like, when she was saying that she didn't mind living in Tallahassee, they made her up to be a liar. She accepted it, and she was building a life for herself here. But they made her out to be a liar on that. That's why they were questioning her about her book. Her book was about her and her family and her feelings. She put it in writing. That's what an author does. They foreshadow. And then her foreshadowing and her showing up is borderline unexplainable. Her explanations, whether you're talking about the route or the location, doesn't hold water with wanting to go to a liquor store. But it only does if you realize the chick doesn't drink. The last time she went to a liquor store, she had to go to the party that night, so she was picking up the bottle on the way to lunch. She went the way she always does. She was talking on the phone. Like, that's what happened. But you just go, what's the probability of, like, her going to that liquor store at that time, that route, on the day he shot, and her turning down Trescott. Pick another street in fucking America to turn down on that date on that time. She had to be going to make sure, as Kaplan said, she couldn't help herself. What do you think? Who do you think explanation sounds more logical? The excuse I just gave, or the ex-wife that couldn't help herself? You know, who claims that there's no benefit, but Kaplan starts bringing up the millions. That's why when I was on the stand, I was like 90% of it in trust. She can't touch it, and it's for the kids. I think I handled that pretty well.
You did.
Yeah,
and then you said, you don't know all her personal finances. How would you know? But the money is for the children. It's not for her.
No, like she's not even the executor of the trust. She's not even in control of it.
No, sure.
You know, but Kaplan was like, but it goes through her to get to the kids, doesn't it? Like, you know, she was just, it was painting a picture, and that's why it's been on Dateline, it's been on everywhere else. There's so much of the picture to paint. There's so many coincidences that you make it seem like, but they were fucking coincidences. But it doesn't. I'm telling you, when you start a story, when you start out saying it's a 1 in 10,000 chance this person tells the truth, you're fighting in a near impossible battle for there. Everything better line up with validation of what you're saying is what happened, with rock solid validation after that one. So then you just go, oh, the only piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit is when he's showing up there that day. Otherwise, you just pick it, everything. And then between the fluff, you put up an autopsy photo. You know, you know, and then it's like, you see, it's all cutesy, and then you see what happens. It brings you to a very serious train of thought. So are we going to say that this was just a coincidence? And if it wasn't a coincidence, you got to convict. Yeah, I think if it is, you know, and that, which just gets me to like, I knew almost all this stuff like months and months before I got picked up. By 2020, and I sat there and was in denial. I mean, I do, but I was like, I let myself get talked to by other people who at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, it's just very, it's like I knew what I wanted to, I knew what I thought, I knew what I wanted to do, I knew what my gut told me, I knew what I had up here. I mean, it's hard for me to think that, like, I knew what I had up here, but all these other people, that I was wrong and all these other, that I was right and all these other people were wrong in what they thought. I don't know if they really thought that, like, or they were just hoping, you know, like hoping and benefiting at the same time. You didn't have a chance up here. You could have brought my dog up here. He would have been convicted on Monday also. Like, you know, it's all the auxiliary stuff that they brought in that I knew that I thought in my heart of hearts, like, you know, I knew the truth, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, when I talked to someone about free stuff, yeah, 1 in a million. I know, crazy, 1 in a million. it should have clicked that, like, dummy, you're saying it's 1 in a million or 1 in 10,000. Everybody else is thinking the same fucking thing. Now go try to convince people that this is that one that doesn't look like what it is. And you're sitting in Tallahassee telling them that when he was going down Trescott because she was going to a liquor store. Like, just about the purchase she made at the liquor store, they were photographing a liquor bottle.
They thought they had it with that.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Well, what's the chance that that's what they wanted her to do?
Well, there's 5,000 things in a damn liquor store. And I'm just saying, I really don't know how many bottles there are in a liquor store, but it seems when I go to a liquor store, there's like 5,000 different items that you can buy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could literally pick up like 5,000 different types of wine, champagnes, bourbons, bottles, tequilas, scotches. She ended a drink. It's probably the one and only time in her entire life she ever bought a bullet bourbon. Like, that alone, like, with she had no invitation. If she had no invitation, that alone would have been like, that's too crazy. Drive down Prescott to buy a bottle of bullet. That's enough to get you convicted right there. Showing up at the scene of the trial. 101.
Like they do.
Criminal. Oh, listen, when Ryan stopped there at work, brought that girl, had that girl stand, like slow down and stand next to him for a split second as he was loading up his car and took photos of him, mailed it to Talia. He was showing up at the house helping them, comforting them, finding out what they thought. He was right there in the thick of it because they didn't know it was him. Ryan helped them get the private investigator from Berman & Furman Law Firm to look into things. Darren's talking to the private investigator, telling Ryan what the PI is saying. They didn't realize that he was talking to the guy that set up the photos, wrote the letter, stole his best friend's money, got him to hate his best friend, and it wasn't working enough, so he had to put the last nail in the coffin. I mean, it's one of those that had to be me. Had to be. By the way, if you picture, like, just to give you an example, that was in the same date and time with those pictures being taken, that Ryan sitting in the parking lot and taking those pictures of Darren, that setup girl. That would kind of be like me driving 10 miles out of my way and stopping off at the Publix in that shopping center, and my phone pinging off that same tower, and then me going home, and then me saying, hey, I was never in that area, and I'm like, oh shit, I was in that same parking lot on that same time, on that same date. Like, that would be pretty suspicious. You know, I'd be like, well, how many Publixes did you pass around? It's like, what the hell were you doing there at the same time this is going on? Like, that's, something was happening. You know, like, I wasn't Publix at the same time. And that would have been like unreal. Like, but that's where coincidences happen. I could have been at that Publix. I don't know what day he took the photos. It's one of those things that just. I'm not asking Dan now, but in a couple of weeks, I'm going to ask him to look into that for me and follow it up with Ramsey.
You know, it's funny you said that because I think Dad can. I think he can, along with Alex.
Yeah. What have you talked to Alex about?
Dad is in touch with Alex. Not in the last few days, but Dad was working on that. Hold on. He's asking me about U.S. legal funding.
Oh.
He was talking about Ramsey, rather.
Oh.
He's the U.S. legal funding, right? The right one, yeah. And I said, you and Alex have been working together to get things straightened out.
Oh, right.
Financially, yeah.
Yeah.
So just hang in there.
Because,
okay. We are. I shouldn't say we are. I'm doing it with Dad.
Okay, because Ramsey, I spoke to Ramsey this morning, and I said to him, I'm sure Dan has done nothing but this case for a long time, and he's literally been up here for 3 weeks, so I'm sure he's got tons of matters to attend to with his office and his wife, and his wife's been on hold for almost 6 weeks pretty much. And I mean, he's willing to drain the case for at least the last 6 weeks, putting it on ungodly number of hours, living up here for a couple of weeks. And it's, I'm not going to ask him to do anything about Ryan like this week, next week, following week, but within like 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to ask him if he could like take a look at some stuff in there.
You're saying you're saying 2 or 3 weeks from now?
Yeah. I don't want to. I want to catch his breath for that. You know, and I know that he even told me like I thought he was getting me out, but he was like, "Don't." He's like, "When I get you out, don't ask me to do that the next day." He's like, "Give me a little time to catch my breath." So I think he needs a little more time to catch his breath from this one.
Yeah. Oh, believe me. The only thing I bother him about is just to ask a question like for you earlier or whatever, to text him a quick question. Otherwise, I would not bother him. I know it.
No, he's beside himself. Not as beside himself as I am. You know, like, I mean, he knows. Like, I asked him. I said, "What do you think's gonna happen with Katie?" I said, he goes, "Well, I don't think they promised her or anything, but you know, they may give her, you know, a 20-year sentence. You know, they may say you got to do 15, 20 years. And goes, but she's been in there for 7. So if you have to do 20, you get 85%. So if you have to do 20, you get out of 17, and then he's already been in there 7, over 7. So it'll be, so if you get a 20-year sentence, you'll have 17 years. And then over 7, she'll have 9 years and change. She'll be out.
Dad's just working. He didn't know what I was talking to you about, but yeah. But he just saw what I wrote down, so he knows he's working on that.
Okay. I mean, don't stress yourself out with it now.
No, not right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying within the next couple of weeks, we'll get the ball rolling with that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As far as like, give yourself a little break too before you go over to my house.
I'm not running over there now, because there's no need. Janice is taking good care of Buddy. There's nothing I can do right now, and I'm not running to put the house up for anything because she needs a little time. She needs to be able to look around and find something. It's not fair. I'm not going to do
Well, no, she's not only she needs time. She doesn't say that it's not sold and rented, but she needs to have that. So those bedrooms upstairs, because then when we walk in, they can't look like they're storage closets. So if she wants to go get another storage locker for $300 a month, and hopefully don't sell the house for 4 months, or don't rent it for 4 months. Like, fuck, and she needs to have 4 months of rent.
Yeah.
It maybe 1 month. I don't know. I don't know how quickly it'll rent. It's know that I designed that backyard and everything was kind of like that was like me putting my stamp on it with everything I did out there. You know, like, it's funny. I feel like I'm in a fucking, like, trapped in a movie on TV. Like, it's so, yeah, I've been here for over a year and a half, but it's like, it's the weirdest. It's never been as much of a swing of emotions in my life as anything. Like, I mean, like I said, I'd rather.
I know what you'd rather.
It's, you know, it's just have some regret about so many things. That I also have sadness on so many different levels. The sadness, and I just have regret on so many different levels. And then I think of Roro, you know, the last time I saw him, I like literally ran away. I like patted his head as he walked away and breathed long and gave that lunch. I thought that. I just remember like last thing exactly how it was, and I saw him a good time. It made that moment at the house. Dad came over that morning. Yeah. Then I took it to breathe long and went to talk that. Sure did. Dad drove the Lexus, I drove the Mercedes. Top hat, I dropped all it off right around the corner. Once I had lunch. It was on Monday.
It sure was.
Yeah, my brother talked to you, and your friend's kid was looking for a free place to stay in Miami, stay at your place. I said, what the fuck are you doing having that kind of stay there? You know, it's Thursday, 21st. I literally, when I called out this number I have on my phone, I thought it was a neighbor of mine calling, or somebody, maybe an old friend who was trying to get into my backyard, or a neighbor of mine calling and telling me, like I said, the 2 missed calls I had were within a minute of hearing all the noises on the side of the house, the glass breaking. So like, I had to get someone calling to let me know what's going on. Like, just, you know, had to be a neighbor of somebody seeing something and calling and letting me know. And I'll never forget, he was following me, like, hello, Charlie? And this is after one of the bathrooms, like, look out the window. I opened up the window, and everything was like yelling out, like, everything okay? And then they responded to me. And it was like, you know, you could tell all the car windows were running, and like, there was all these people everywhere. And the guy goes, Charlie, this is Agent Sanford with the FBI. We're here with FBI SWAT, and now with their hands empty and over the air. My words to him were, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, that were, I really thought I had a burglar. Something unrelated to this. It was like out of a movie. I was like, and out of a movie. Like, went outside and taking a bite of bubbles, walk outside. Because what? They thinking like, oh, this is going to get resolved. This is going to be fine. This is going to be taken care of. We're going to be fine. We're going to get through this. I never really. Marcus always told me don't watch these shows on TV. That day I thought it's the teeth and stuff. But I think maybe if I would have watched the full one. But that's TV. You don't think they're going to do that in a courtroom.
No, you don't.
What are the chances? And listen, I get it. I've done it with you for an hour or two. Folks, what are the chances? I said that to people. I said, what are the fucking chances that this happens like this? And the answer is, that's crazy. Yeah, because if that's what happened, that's crazy is an appropriate answer. But it's like, you say that's crazy once, you say that's crazy twice, pretty soon all you're doing is saying that's crazy. Or could she just not help herself? I mean, not 9 times, let's say 99 out of 100 is showing up for a reason. Taking a shortcut, the long cut from 10 miles away to pass by and see what's going on. That right there, I think if I would have had to analyze it as much as I am today, I would have come to the conclusion that I don't know if people would never help me out.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, don't tell me it's cut again. Sure. Yeah, it just clicked. Every time it gets to like over an hour, it quickly. So